Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Will You Stop podcast. I am Brandon, along with Avi, Dark Sidious Avi.
Yo, yo, yo.
And we are again joined by Tom, who will be back in 1 second. I believe he's getting himself decent. And we're back. How's your week been, Av?
Not bad at all. A couple of interesting tidbits I picked up this week. First, I feel like I got to start with SmackDown. And it wasn't because SmackDown was a great show or even a bad show, but every now and then I watch a WWE program such as Raw or SmackDown, and I look at it and I think to myself, this isn't good, this isn't bad. This is a different level of bad, where like basically the writing team got together and said, okay, here's SmackDown. We can't come up with anything else, so let's just throw this on TV. Because that was honestly the biggest waste of 2 hours I have ever seen in my entire life. And SmackDown's been bad plenty of times. But that was just like, wow, why bother putting that on TV?
SmackDown, for some reason, just since they moved to Fox, they cannot get their feet under them. For some reason, that show, after that first show, which had the whole Lesnar title change, it just has not been what traditionally SmackDown was. Like back during Ruthless Aggression when Heyman was running the show, that show was must-see stuff, much better than Raw, and this has become a waste of a Friday night. I literally watch SmackDown only for this podcast. Otherwise, there's really nothing going on Fridays that even do anything for me. I mean, they're turning this Otis thing now into basically a Mandy face turn, and Sonya's the one who's sabotaging it. I mean, Tom, you're the big WWE guy. What did you think of SmackDown this week?
I wasn't a very big fan, but I was about to rant and rave about that because that's literally the one angle they have that people are actually kind of enjoying right now. And it's an angle, you got the underdog, you got the big guy who usually doesn't get the hot girl, People love, America loves a good underdog story. And what do? You don't even let it come to fruition. You have some stupid jerk-off thing where he shows up and Ziggler shows up and that's that. And then his boy confronts her and all this other stuff. Just a complete waste of an opportunity.
Yeah, that made no sense to me either. I mean, why would Otis just walk away? If I was hot for this girl and I saw her sitting with another guy on Valentine's Day, I wouldn't just mope away. Freaking get in there and freaking grab Dolph by the ponytail and freaking kick his ass.
Yeah, throw him through some tables at least.
I mean, let's be honest. We're setting up for a Ziggler-Otis feud, which, I mean, unless they're going to put Otis over in this, which I highly doubt, not really a feud that's going to, bring a lot of attention. But I will say this. When it comes to SmackDown, I'm actually afraid right now. I'm afraid. I discussed with you last week, not even last week, Brandon, a couple of days ago. Yep. I am honestly afraid they're going to put the belt on Goldberg.
That will be the single... Go ahead, Tom.
No, go ahead. You can finish your point.
That will be the single stupidest mistake heading into WrestleMania I have ever heard of if they decide to put the belt on Goldberg this Thursday.
You know what,
You're
going to still a draw, though. I mean, it would be so stupid. But it's just like, can they do any better at this point? That's how pathetic wrestling's gotten right now.
Better than Goldberg? Yeah, keep the belt on Bray Wyatt. Like we discussed last week, Goldberg was never over with WWE audiences. He is that nostalgia act right now. He's not in the long term. If he's there all the time, he's not going to get those nostalgia pops. It's very easy to get the nostalgia pops when you're not around all the time, out of sight, out of mind. But if you're there every single week, every other week, whatever it might be, it's going to get stale quick, and WWE fans are going to get sick of it because we all know they don't have the patience to last long in these angles. They need the quick pop. They don't need the time for things to boil over.
Here's my thing. Meltzer, I think, even mentioned it, that there's a good chance that Goldberg is walking into WrestleMania as champion. And honestly, to me, that's the scariest thought I've had about wrestling in years. First of all, you have something with Bray Wyatt. You're getting two characters out of a guy, if you think about it, that the fans will both like. You could put him against anybody right now, and people are going to care about the match, except for Goldberg. And if you put Goldberg over Bray Wyatt, you're killing the Bray Wyatt character. Let's be honest. The only loss he had, he got bashed with like 20 chairs, and finally a sledgehammer on top of it. Wasn't really a loss. The referee stopped the match. You're going to take a guy now that actually has something behind him. Probably the only guy in the entire company, maybe outside of Drew McIntyre, which we'll get to later on, that actually has some fuel, has some tailwind, has some kind of, how shall I say, pull with the fans. And you're going to have Goldberg, who has never been over with the WWE fans. Over him? I mean, I've seen WWE do stupid things in the last couple of years. But this is going to top the cake, because what I've heard also is that not only does Goldberg get the belt, but now I'm hearing Cena Goldberg at WrestleMania.
I'm hearing Goldberg Roman Reigns WrestleMania.
Oof. I mean, both are painful. It just shows you how completely clueless the WWE writing team is right now when it comes to the fans. Like, they're literally you're walking into WrestleMania. The only thing they've done right is McIntyre Lesnar. Let's see how that gets carried out before we even, before we start patting them on the back. But outside of that, nothing else seems to make any sense whatsoever.
There's a little bit of semi-hopeful news, and assuming he gets his act straight, Jeff Hardy was backstage at SmackDown, so hopefully he comes down and comes back and gets a nice singles push. I'm a big fan of him as a singles guy.
Well, I think, it was interesting. I was listening to Brian Alvarez on, I think it was either Thursday or Wednesday or Thursday, one or the other, and he was really discussing.
Now, I'm sorry, what were you saying, Ava? We had a little technical difficulty over here, but go ahead.
So I was talking to Tom before, and, we were talking about how, Brian Alvarez was discussing how the biggest difference between the NXT and AEW guys is how AEW is better connected with their fans because they're not being directed who to be, where to be, et cetera, et cetera. They kind of have their gimmick and they're told to run with it. And we've agreed that if, WWE kind of loosen the reins on certain guys, then maybe let them be themselves, like your Bray Wyatts, guys would get over better. But then you think about it, we've heard Seth Rollins in person. We've heard Sasha Banks out of character. They're awkward as fuck. If you allowed Sasha Banks to be herself on TV, you'd have a worse character than I think you have now. I think Seth Rollins, same thing. We've seen this guy on Twitter. He's as awkward as it gets. Roman Reigns, same thing. So, I think the argument can be made that certain people, WWE's got to kind of let them loose and let them be themselves to connect better with the fans. But there are others that WWE kind of has to keep the reins on them.
You got a point. Daniel Bryan could be good. I've seen him on Total Divas and Total Bellas. He's got a pretty good character. He's got a good personality. I don't think he'd need that, but I agree with you for a lot of people.
But that's how they...
What were you saying, Brandon?
That's how they did it in the Attitude Era. All they ever said was that it was about them being themselves turned to a 10. And they were never given a script. They were never overproduced the way they are.
We don't know that. We know that. We assume that. We've heard that, but we don't know that for sure. From what I understand, Vince has always been very scripted since the late 80s. So you're quoting maybe a DVD, you're quoting what you've heard from one or two people, but we weren't backstage. We have no idea how scripted it was back then. And like I said, from what I understand, Vince has been scripting most of his guys since the late 80s.
All I know is that Alvarez has a point, and that the difference between AEW and WWE is basically night and day. AEW has done in 4 months, and they've taken an idea, and they have turned it into such I want to say a revolution in this business that in 4 months, how far they've gotten is unheard of.
Get the ratings above 2 million, and I'll start talking about revolution. They can't even break 1 million viewers. I won't call it a revolution. I'll call it a nice alternative.
Okay, you're saying over 2 million, but WWE barely gets 2 million on USA.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. If they were able to come out and say, "Hey, we're one of the top-rated wrestling shows in the country right now," and able to come out and do this, great. But right now, as far as I'm concerned, they're still just another alternative, like a Ring of Honor and a TNA.
First off, they've surpassed Ring of Honor, who's been around for 18 years, and TNA, who's been around for 17 years, in 4 months.
By the way,
They're-
today, Ring of Honor's 18th birthday.
Yep. Yeah, you
They're
know,
finally legal.
18 years, and they're still basically a regional promotion, an indie promotion. They're backed up by a major cable company who doesn't put them on the major areas like New York City.
Well, they pretty much use them for like late night content. Like, you know how Cinemax has Skinemax late night? That's kind of like what ROH is to Sinclair Broadcasting. It's like their Skinemax. Like just
Right,
their like
but-
3 a.m. programming.
Yeah,
But you're
you got to see AEW differently. Listen to me. ESPN covers AEW. CBS Sports covers AEW. They're getting a lot of press coverage that Ring of Honor and Impact never got. You know, the numbers for a first-year federation, they're blowing them out of the water. From what I understand, the projections were between 500 and 600,000 people every week. They're way surpassed that at this point. So they're obviously making a lot of noise. They're making a lot of movement. Listen, they made WWE change their own programming. They put NXT on USA to go against AEW. Think about it. Vince does not take notice of other federations that quickly. Vince didn't even admit there was another wrestling organization out there until 1991 when Ric Flair showed up and he had no choice in the matter. So Vince does not give... Listen, I don't think he ever even... I think the one time he mentioned TNA was back in like 2011 when somebody asked him about it in an interview and his answer was deplorable. Next question. Otherwise, he doesn't give a lot of thought into other federations. The fact that he took NXT, who was sitting comfortably on the network, and put him on USA Network for 2 hours live every week, that shows a lot about what he thought about AEW himself. Now, I challenge anyone who watches both shows like I do, just switch back and forth every now and then. Look at the different energy you're getting from NXT to AEW. You put on AEW, there's energy there. You put on NXT, there's just no energy there.
Well, that's because you said before, though, they're in the same building every week. If they were in a different building, you probably get similar energy because NXT's wrestling, the quality is way better than AEW.
I disagree with that.
I disagree also. Listen, AEW this week, they opened up with that hot battle royal. The crowd was going. And you know what? Look at TakeOver. The crowd at TakeOver really wasn't that hot.
All right, look, I'll concede I thought the Battle Royale when I first saw it was absolutely stupid, and it actually turned out to be all right. I'll concede that.
Well,
I like how...
Tag Team Battle Royals have been around wrestling forever. That's like
Well, they advertised as a 20-man tag team match.
Right, but I'm saying Tag Team Battle Royals have been a staple of wrestling since like the 50s.
Yeah. It's just, I'm not a big fan of it. There's just too much going on, too much cluster. But, you know, they choreographed it well and they performed well. So it seems like the Revival is probably going to be going to AEW anytime soon, and it looks like they trademarked the name Top Guys. Looks like that might be their tag team name in AEW.
I don't want to gloss over this yet, Tom. You're talking about the Tag Team Battle Royal. That might have been the best Battle Royal, like singular Battle Royal I've seen in God knows how long. I like the fact that AEW went with the double elimination. WWE does Tag Team Battle Royals. One guy goes out, the other teammate goes out. I like that it was more of a double elimination Battle Royal. They worked a lot of their storylines intertwined in that Battle Royal. And I really don't understand what I don't know. Is it a WWE loyalist thing that you don't see what AEW is doing in 4 months? Because you're talking about, not hitting 2 million viewers, but they've been around on TV for 4 months. Look what they've done in 4 months.
I just see them as a bunch of WWE rejects and a couple of over-the-hill WWE guys like Chris Jericho.
Chris Jericho is basically what's brought them their mainstream media attention. If it wasn't for Chris Jericho, I don't think they would get the mainstream attention they're getting just because of his name factor alone. And that's because of his time in WWE, yes. But he's made himself much bigger than WWE. He is a mainstream guy. He's on TV shows. He's on, there was this hot takes on True TV, this game show he was on. He's on a lot more than that he's acknowledged for. And you can't look at guys every guy's going to be a WWE reject because at some point, everyone so Kenny Omega's a WWE reject because he was in WWE developmental.
He didn't really get big enough to be rejected. He's one of the few bona fide superstars. He's kind of like the Sting of our generation.
And you think he's underutilized? Because
Severely.
I heard through the grapevine that you thought he was underutilized.
Severely.
So how, when he's involved in two major storylines in AEW right now, and he's main eventing this week's show, so how is he underutilized?
I think that he should be competing. He should be in the title picture. It should be him, Cody, Jericho, Moxley, kind of up top, and Dustin, kind of fighting for the title. And I don't like how he's got the tag team belt right now. Why give your top guy the tag team belt when you're the federation that's saying, oh, we're not going to treat tag team wrestling as the redheaded stepchild that WWE does, and yet you just kind of blow it on Omega and Page. Why would you do that? We have so many other more deserving people.
I think you're actually, hold on. I think you're actually missing the point with that. By putting it on two main eventers, they're showing you how important the tag team division is. And if you look at that Battle Royal the other night, that showed how deep the tag team division is. So in essence, I think you're missing the point there. They just had a tag team Battle Royal. WWE couldn't do a tag team Battle Royal right now in either show. All right? They just did a tag team Battle Royal that showed how deep that division is. And you have two main eventers, not one, but two main eventers as your tag team champions. That shows you how much they care about the world tag titles.
On top of the fact, it's leading to a program between Omega and Hangman Page.
Well, you think they're going to eventually turn on each other?
Of course, if you can't see Hangman's about to turn on him at the pay-per-view, then you're freaking blind. That storyline is clear as day. There's a whole reason why the Young Bucks won that Battle Royal. Because now it's going to be that internal turmoil between the Elite. And Hangman Page has slowly been turning. As his character has been developing these last few weeks with the beer drinking stuff, he's turning. And you see the slow turn. And that's what WWE fans can't take. They can't handle the slow, methodical way of a storyline. They need everything to be right away, right, and an easy pop, instant gratification.
Quick payoff.
Exactly. And to say that Omega's underutilized when he's in two major storylines,
I think he's way underutilized.
He's in two major storylines. He's about to have the first ever Iron Man match for AEW with Pac this week. On top of the fact he's in a major storyline with the tag team titles. On top of the fact that after that he's going to be in a main event program with Hangman Page, which will lead most likely to challenging Moxley, who I think is going to win the title at the pay-per-view, by the way. But that's besides here or there. Plus, on top of it, how can you have 6 guys in a main event picture when you have only one program that's 2 hours long? There's only so much you can do. I think you're totally trying to cut AEW at the knees because you want them to be WWE light after 4 months. And they're not going to be WWE light after 4 months.
No, but Kenny Omega is a bona fide superstar. Okay, he's a bona fide superstar who really, let's face it, outside of a couple of jerk-off years in Ohio Valley Wrestling or whatever, really doesn't have any WWE ties to him. So you could really actually say, hey, look, this is kind of our guy. Never really has been in WWE. He supposedly was the biggest superstar in the world with New Japan, one of the highest free agents 2 or 3 years in a row, and he's with us. He should have the fucking belt, or at least should be competing for the belt right now.
I mean,
they should not have given Jericho the belt first.
Tom, did Stone Cold Steve Austin and Shawn Michaels ever win the tag titles together?
They did.
Did Stone Cold Steve Austin and Undertaker win the tag titles together?
They did, right?
Yeah.
Did The Rock and Mick Foley win the tag titles together?
Yes, Rock Connection, my all-time favorite tag teams.
That was all okay?
I'm sorry?
That was okay, though, right?
That was kind of over the years, though, but they were all, first off, The Rock had already been in the main event scene for a long time and had multiple title reigns.
A long time. The Rock and Sock Connection was in 2002. The Rock won his first world title in 1999.
I thought he won it in 98.
I'm sorry, you're right, 98, November of 98. So he was in the world title scene for a grand total of about 3 years before he got...
Exactly. Exactly. So they had been for multiple years.
You just said you don't think that Jericho should have won the title first. So you're saying Omega should have gotten the title.
Yes.
That a guy, when you're breaking in a new federation with a new audience in America who has mainly made his name in Japan, and you're trying to get the most amount of mainstream eyes on your product, so you want to put it on a guy that unless you're a hardcore fan, the casual fan doesn't know who Kenny Omega is.
But I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Your world champion does not have to be your top guy. I can give you a million instances in the history of wrestling where your world champion was not your top guy.
CM Punk.
Undertaker, Randy Orton, Edge. They were never your top guy.
You are cutting Omega off and diminishing where he is in AEW right now because you just want him to be right at the top. But there's only so much room you can do at the top right now. First, you mentioned Cody. Cody is literally taking himself out of the world title picture for this foreseeable future until they do some shenanigans to bring him back in there. He's in a top program with MJF right now. Can you tell me 4 major angles going on in WWE right now, right off the top of your head? Meanwhile, you can mention 4 straight major angles going on in AEW. WWE's got 7 hours of TV every week. AEW's got 2.
Well, the problem is WWE can't seem to make up their damn minds and get an angle going consistently.
They haven't had a good angle in a decade. Tell me an angle in the last 2 years that has blown your mind to make you remember it.
Not a whole lot.
Okay. Yet you could name Cody MJF, Omega Pac, Omega Hangman against the Bucks, Jericho Moxley. That's 4 major angles right now going on. SCU and the Dark Order. Nyla Rose and it looks like Chris Statlander or maybe freaking Big Swole. I mean, there's so many things going on in AEW within 2 hours.
Speaking of AEW and the Women's Championship, I want your thoughts on Nyla Rose winning the championship. Women's Championship.
She should have won it. Rio wasn't around. She wanted to stay more in Japan. She had some good matches at the beginning. She wasn't get over as much. She wasn't around as much. Nyla Rose is there. Now you have a heel champion, and now you could do something with it.
That match with Riho on the first when Israel were there live, that was a complete botch fest.
Yeah, and in 4 months, look how much she's improved. That match 2 weeks ago was freaking great.
I will say this. If you look at the comments in all their social media page, I would say about 2/3 to 3/4 are negative about her having the belt.
Well, you know what? That doesn't bother me, her having the belt. And you know what? The fact that she has it now and you have a heel champion, you actually open it up to a lot more things. That you have the bigger person, the bigger woman having that title, and now you have a lot more. Now you have a really open main event scene. You got Britt Baker coming up. You got Chris Statlander, who they're getting behind. They got Big Swole came out this week. Nyla Rose. I think the women's division is going to actually light up under Nyla Rose more than it was under Rio.
What about Awesome Kong? Supposedly she's not going to be wrestling at all, and she's leaving.
She's gone because she's doing the new season of Glow.
Okay. I liked her a lot. I wanted her to win it.
You know what's crazy if you think about it? Your biggest feud right now in WWE, honestly, is probably Charlotte and Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley. That's pretty much your biggest feud now.
I mean, how many times on Raw are we going to watch a different combination of Seth Rollins and his crew and Kevin Owens and his crew? I mean, you have had the same main event on Raw for close to 4 weeks in a row in some combination.
And honestly,
I'm not a big Kevin Owens fan.
Seth Rollins and his crew, it reminds you when JBL had Orlando Jordan and that crew. It's a mismatch match that literally makes no sense. They're getting no traction whatsoever. The fans, honestly, I'm going to say it right now. WWE and Seth Rollins their best bet is part ways at this point. What are you going to do with Seth Rollins at this point? I think that character is so dead and so buried, they're either going to have to repackage him, which is not going to work, or he's going to have to move on. Because honestly, what are we doing with this guy?
I did read a couple days ago the plan is post-WrestleMania for him to be the first feud with Drew McIntyre as champion.
Which does what?
Get McIntyre more over. I think they're going to just use Rollins to get McIntyre more over.
But I mean,
I do like his in-ring skills. I will say that. I do enjoy Seth Rollins matches.
It depends who he's with. Lately, he seems kind of lazy in the ring, to be honest with you.
He might be getting that complacency. Like he's been in the main event scene for a while. He's kind of at the point where he doesn't feel like he has to put on a good match. I can see where you're going with that. I agree.
What are you going to do with Seth Rollins at this point? If you make him world champion, no one's going to care. They'll probably be pissed off about it. If you put him over anybody who's kind of over right now, you're going to piss off the fans. You give him the IC belt, no one's going to care. You give him the US belt, no one's going to care. You throw him in a tag team, no one's going to care. Like, he's at a point he's at a real crossroads in his career right now, if you think about it. Like, he's really at a point, Seth Rollins, where nobody cares for the guy. I think the only one who might benefit out of this whole entire Seth Rollins thing is Buddy Murphy.
Definitely Buddy Murphy and maybe AOP, depending on how they work AOP. But right now, I think they're kind of blowing it. They brought AOP back, and they're kind of blowing it now because now they're basically just, nameless henchmen. They're the kind of guys that when you watch the 60s Batman that just had the domino mask on with a 1 and a 2 on their chest.
You know what it is also? If you look at the best wrestlers of all time, I mean, really your best ones ever, your Harts, your HBKs, even your Undertakers, they all went through lulls in their career where they were kind of in meaningless feuds. And then they would get back pushed into the world title scene and live happily ever after. I don't think you could do that with Rollins, though. Taker had a couple of bullshit feuds here and there, right back in the world title scene. Hart, same thing. Michael, same thing. Jericho, same thing. Even The Rock, to a degree, was same thing. But I just feel like with Rollins, I don't know if you could put him back in the world title scene ever again.
Here's the other thing, too. One of the other things I will give you guys with WWE is this got me thinking, too, about, recent champions that have just gone out the wayside, like how they had the storylines are so shallow and so nothing. Like, think about Jinder Mahal. What the hell's happened to him? He was champion 2 years ago, and now where is he?
He's actually recovering from knee surgery.
But even before he got hurt, what was he doing? He was lost in the low mid-card scene.
He was an experiment. I feel that the Jinder Mahal world title win was a complete experiment of just taking someone out of nowhere, giving him the title, and it didn't work. And he went back to where he was before he won the title.
Well, by the way, Israel's trying to join us.
Well, let me ask you this question, guys. And this is an honest question to ask. Is Seth Rollins finished as part of the main event scene in WWE?
Probably.
I don't think he's going to win the title back again. I think they'll pop him in every now and then. Have him put over, like I said, he's going to put over Drew McIntyre. But I don't see him being a major part of the main event scene anymore. I think it's kind of like, I don't want to compare him to The Miz, but it's kind of like how The Miz was. The Miz was in that world title scene for a while, dropped to a mid-card, and that's where he's going to stay. And, Rollins, I think, dug his own grave in a sense to the fact that he didn't change it. He didn't adapt at all. He kind of just stayed the same character. And I think the way he came across outside of WWE didn't help his cause either.
Well, yeah, but at this point, I think it's safe to say that Seth Rollins, the character of Seth Rollins, to a degree, might be finished. I think the only shot this guy has is to leave WWE.
And where would he be? AEW. I could see him doing New Japan. I could see him being a rock star over there.
I don't think he would go to AEW. I don't think AEW would take him, honestly.
I think he'd go to New Japan. I think you're right.
To me, that'd be the only he's not, okay, let's be real. He's not going to go to Impact. He's not going to go to ROH. New Japan would be the only place for him. I don't think that Tony Khan would sign him because he's too associated with WWE.
I'm going to ask the question again. At this point, Seth Rollins has been on the main roster since, 2014?
Yeah.
Okay. It's a little over 5 years. Is he finished?
Yeah, I think he's done.
So now think about that for a second. Probably. This guy pops up on the main roster in 5 years ago, and he's pretty much finished at this point. Think about that. Think about that insanity, the lunacy in that. This guy main evented how many WrestleManias?
2 or 3.
Okay, how many pay-per-views?
Countless.
Dozens.
He's basically finished as a main eventer in WWE and is pretty much going to be relegated to, I agree, Miz status. He'll be a jobber to the stars. You can plug him into main event Raw or SmackDown. You could plug him into any tag team. You could plug him into a house show if you need to. You could plug him into a pay-per-view if you need to. He's essentially a main event jobber now, 5 years into his career.
Now, do you blame Seth Rollins for that, or do you blame creative for that?
Both, and I'll tell you why. Me and Tom were discussing when you got cut off, where Brian Alvarez put it, where the AEW guys connect because they're not scripted, they're not as molded. Where WWE, you show up at NXT and they go, here's your name, here's your character, this is what you're going to say in interviews, this is what your outfit's going to look like, this is what your in-ring style is going to be, and this is how you're going to carry yourself. And you're kind of given this character. Now it's up to you to figure out how the character is going to go along. The issue is that there are certain guys that we've seen with Bray Wyatt and with Sami Zayn when he was off, that nonsense, that can do well. But you look at people like Seth Rollins, you look at Sasha Banks, you look at Roman Reigns. If they weren't scripted, they'd be a disaster. Have you ever heard Sasha Banks in a regular interview?
She's horrible.
She's one of the most awkward celebrities, quote unquote, I've ever seen. She's totally awkward. Seth Rollins, we've seen him on Twitter. We've seen him in interviews. That guy's as awkward as it gets. So you got to blame both. You got to blame, I think creative gets blamed in the sense where they didn't see Seth Rollins' shortcomings and act upon it. And because let's be honest, Bret Hart was never the greatest interview. But that guy was one of the worst interviews ever. But the guy got over. With all that awkwardness, he got over. But if you look at him outside the ring, he wasn't that awkward. He knew how to handle himself. So I blame creative in the sense of them not adapting to what Seth Rollins' limitations were. But I also got to blame Seth Rollins. You're a paid professional. You look at every great wrestler in the history of this industry. From your Hulk Hogan's, to your Bret Hart's, to your Shawn Michaels, to your Triple H's, to your Rocks, to your Stone Colds, to your Brock Lesnar's, to your Ortons, to your Edges, all the way through. What do they all have in common? They were all able to adapt. They were all able to say, you know what?
I gotta stop you there for 1 second, though. Hold on. First of all, Tom Moxley went to AEW, and he found tons of success. So, you're talking about Seth Rollins. He just goes somewhere else. They're just not using him right.
Brandon, you're going to have to edit this whole thing where the person who worked in TV just jumped into a whole entire point I was trying to make and wrecked it. Like, seriously.
Well, he's late to the party. He doesn't understand how podcasting works, you know. But
can I make a point? Can I make a point, though, about short?
Rollins. Let me just finish what I'm getting at. All these guys hit lows in their career. Undertaker's another example. But they were able to take their character and say, you know what? Let me change this. Let me tweak this. So the character didn't get tweaked, didn't get changed, but the tweaks that were necessary got put in. Rollins hasn't done that. Rollins hasn't tried to do that. Rollins is the same whiny, annoying character he's been since the day he stepped foot in WWE on the main roster.
You had the Shield. That was a little bit of an iteration. Maybe not much of an iteration, but it was him with a group. But let's think about this for a second, though. When did Stone Cold win the $1 Million Challenge or whatever against Jake the Snake Roberts? Like 97? Austin 316 was 1997, right? When that first came about?
96.
96. So Austin really, really shot to them really big time around 97, 98, 99, 2000, 2001, 2002. And that's when he pretty much left.
Right.
So that's really not that much of a difference in what Seth Rollins, the arc that Seth Rollins has right now. If you think about it, Stone Cold's arc at the top as the top dog wasn't really that long of an arc.
First off, are you comparing Seth Rollins to Stone Cold Steve Austin right now?
I would never blasphemize Stone Cold Steve Austin, the greatest of all time, to Seth Rollins. But the point I'm making is that outside of like the Triple H's and the Undertakers and those guys, it's really hard to stay on the top for a long, long time. So if you don't have like,
I get what you're saying, but you have to think about it logically and really think back. Rollins was never that much over. I think
I disagree with that because he was rated number one wrestler a couple years in a row. You know, I think he was a big part of the Shield getting over.
First off, him being rated in a kayfabe magazine as a top wrestler doesn't really hold much water, in my opinion. Second off, yeah, you know, Austin was on top for 5 years. He got injured twice, and that ended his career early.
And he walked out, too.
No, besides, that was a creative thing. But besides that, if Austin never had that pile driver from Owen Hart, his career doesn't end in 2002. His career would have gone another five years at least.
So you think he would have? I mean, I don't know. See, revisionist history. I think I think they were ready for Brock Lesnar to come in. I think that probably would have ended the same way, even if he didn't break his neck. Although, by the way, I forget the pay-per-view, but it was 1999. I'd like my money back when he got hit by that car. Okay, because I bought that pay-per-view just because I wanted to see him take the belt off The Rock, and then we got hit by that car. I still want my $50 back from 20 years ago.
And Survivor Series, just for the record.
Survivor Series.
Well,
Either way,
if you want to go back to Austin and you want to get into this discussion about it, you know, it wasn't that WWE was ready for Lesnar. It was the way they handled that situation where you have Stone Cold Steve Austin, arguably the biggest name in the history of the business, and they were going to job him out on a match on Raw with no build-up. So if you're Stone Cold Steve Austin, you got to think about your pocketbook in that sense, where you can build that match up on a pay-per-view and make billions. Why would you ever put a match like that on free TV?
that is just a simple, again, they wanted a quick bump in the ratings. They didn't see the forest for their trees, and they sure as hell thought that people would not remember that it occurred here, so when they go to make money with it 2 years later, it'd be okay. And it was just such short-sightedness from WWE creative on that, not to build it up. And I think Austin's even said this, to do this without even 2 weeks build up for a King of the Ring tournament, that was just completely stupid and ridiculous.
Well, I mean, Kurt Angle had no problem doing it for John Cena.
Again, you're comparing the biggest star of the freaking 90s to guys who weren't as big as him. A Kurt Angle and a John Cena. What are you talking about, Kurt Angle and John Cena?
The ruthless aggression shit when that started, when Kurt Angle pretty much just called out anybody and John Cena came out and beat him.
No, he didn't. John Cena lost that match.
I thought he beat him that match.
No, he lost that match. Talk about revising history, Tom.
My bad.
And another thing I don't understand with WWE Creative, and this makes zero sense to me, they announced an Elimination Chamber match for the number one contender for Becky Lynch. And they put basically every low-card woman in that match and Shayna Baszler. What kind of insipid idea is this match? You got Natalya, Liv Morgan, Shayna Baszler, Asuka, Ruby Riott, and Sarah Logan. Does anyone not think that Shayna Baszler is winning the Elimination Chamber to go against Becky Lynch? Could they not come up with a better idea?
Yeah, the women's scene's kind of stale right now. I'll admit that.
Meanwhile, AEW's is lighting up.
I'm not really sure if I agree with that because, I mean, they don't really have that much talent in the women's division. I was really a big fan of Riho. I thought Riho was incredible, but I guess you were saying she's going to stay in Japan pretty much?
Yeah, she never moved to the U.S., so she was splitting her time. So, that's why it went weeks without seeing her.
Britt Baker's okay. I mean, the character's good, but her wrestling and ring ability isn't that good. I don't know. I mean, I think the women's division, WWE, they have endless amounts of talent. Just the storylines suck.
And that's basically what U.S. wrestling is about. It's about the storylines. You can't just go in with cold matches. That might work in Japan, but it doesn't work in the U.S. You need some sort of storyline. You need a connection to the characters.
I agree, but it's interesting though. Speaking of Japan, supposedly they're putting an NXT in Japan. Do you think that they'll ever open up the door to a partnership with New Japan?
What do you think?
They might. I mean, Vince has done partnerships over there before for singular shows, so anything is possible. The whole thing with NXT opening in different countries, I get what's behind it, but the truth of the matter is, how many stars has NXT was it Great Britain produced?
Pete Dunne.
And my boy Walter, don't forget about him.
Yeah, but Walter was. I think I don't give WWE credit for Walter. Walter was big in the independent British scene way before he came to NXT UK.
Oh, he was a household name in America. Really?
I didn't say America. I said WUK.
Right.
And how many guys from from NXT UK are actually are known in America? Not many. I don't watch NXT UK. And except for Walter and maybe one or two more names, none of the names stand out. So they're doing these regionalized NXTs for certain parts of the world, but they're not crossing them over into the U.S. And that's where the majority of your fans are at. Audience. That's what the word I was looking for.
That before he showed up in WWE UK, in NXT UK rather, nobody cared about Walter in the U.S. Nobody knew about Walter in the U.S. So at least with Walter, it gave him something rather, that he would have probably never had otherwise. So it has made at least one guy, well, two guys at least.
Out of how many do they have there right now? They have
dozens. It's two more, is it not?
And then they shit on Walter at Survivor Series the way he went out like a bitch.
Walter's my boy. I like Walter. I am a fan of Walter.
What was your prediction of WrestleMania 38? Walter versus Otis for the world title?
Listen, Otis needs to be in the World Championship match. I love Otis. Otis is the man.
I love Otis.
So
Otis wins a belt. I don't care what belt it is. Any belt. You give him the IC Championship or the US Championship or the World Championship. I will be happy. Otis, everybody's laughing at me. Otis has something. He's your underdog.
I want to circle back. When we lost connection, what we were talking about was the fact that they're changing. It was reported yesterday or the day before that they're changing a lot of the main event matches for WrestleMania. And we were talking about how, they're talking about Cena Goldberg or Cena Wyatt. And all those are huge mistakes, in my opinion. I know you're a big Goldberg fan for some reason, Tom, which, I don't understand what it is about Goldberg when he was a WCW guy and you're a WWE guy. But I don't understand why you want to see him in a world title picture right now at 53 years old.
I think that he's probably more worthy of it than most of the people here. I think that he still gets strong reactions, and whether we like it or not, he's still a draw.
What has he drawn? He hasn't made a reaction to people who are already there. They didn't buy tickets because Goldberg was showing up.
When he was in there, when he did his thing a couple years ago, the ratings were higher. They did get a bump in ratings and attendance.
The ratings were higher when Goldberg was there for his first run in general because of wrestling was different back then. WWE was different.
I'm talking about 2017, the WrestleMania 32.
He didn't move the needle at all. Can you confirm that?
He didn't move the needle.
He did not move the needle.
Goldberg has never ever been over with WWE Universe. They've kind of been like, okay, great, he's there. Nobody ever cared for the guy.
Also, I think too, they're preventing him from going to AEW. That's probably why they're doing this.
Okay, well, Goldberg goes to AEW. Then what? What is he going to do?
That would help them rejuvenate WCW 2.0.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, God. Here we go.
Here we go.
That's what AEW is. It's WCW 2.0. Am I wrong?
Oh, God. You've been spending way too much time with Izzy, who called for months before AEW even started, was calling it Impact 2.0. Now you're saying it's WCW 2.0.
Izzy, talk. Nobody say words until Izzy starts talking. Izzy has joined us. Izzy has to say something.
Come on, Mr. TNA 2.0.
Tell us about last week. Where'd you go last week?
back about, the WWE and Rollins, and he's losing this. Now, listen, if Rollins goes to AEW, his career is revived because AEW is WCW 2.0. They figured out how to right now. They're not using Omega. You should be Sting, and they're not using
Thank
him.
you.
Okay. Let's get something straight. Time out.
All right,
Since
hold
Izzy,
on.
wait. Since you decided to be late, like you always are late for everything, we already discussed Omega. Omega is in 2 top programs in AEW right now. 2 of the 4 top programs in AEW.
Okay, great. Yeah.
I actually won that portion of the debate because I successfully proved that they're wasting Omega in
They're
there.
not wasting Omega. Now you sound like Izzy, who thinks he defeats me. He hasn't won a single argument with me. He repeats himself over and over. Omega's in 2 top programs. Is about to be in a major storyline with freaking Hangman Page. So how exactly is Omega being
The
underutilized?
tag team champions. They're the tag team champions.
Which are very important, which are a major corner of AEW right now.
So they give it
You're
to
so
a real
used-
tag team.
You are
Give it
so
to a real tag team.
Oh my God, are you kidding me? Austin McFoley, Austin Michaels, Undertaker Michaels, Undertaker Austin. Those are all single guys who won the title.
After they were established and already had title runs.
And Omega is established. It's Kenny freaking Omega.
He's not established in the U.S. yet, but he needs to be established as the main event guy.
You should be going for the main. You should be going for the title, not winning it. And tag titles never carry a federation. No tag team champions have ever carried a federation to the mainstream.
Vince McMahon is not wrong there. He knows what he's talking about with tag teams. Tag teams are not, they don't draw money.
It is leading to a major storyline between Hangman Page and Kenny Omega, like I said earlier, which is going to lead towards the world title picture. You and Izzy want things, you want your instant gratification instead of letting things simmer and then boil over.
He should be getting a pop. He should be representing AEW. He should be the man, and he's not.
Yes. It should be behind the, whatever their version of the Titantron is when the show opens. It should be Kenny Omega. It should be Kenny Omega on the 7-Eleven cups. It should be Kenny Omega all over Hot Topic, wherever the hell that stupid store is called. It should be Kenny Omega posters everywhere. Kenny Omega, Kenny Omega, Kenny Omega. He should be their background picture.
I was actually in a Hot Topic today, and they had a Kenny Omega shirt. They also had an Inner Circle shirt, but it was $30, and I wasn't spending $30 on a T-shirt.
I've been Hot Topic since I was 18.
I think you and Izzy are both so enshrined in WWE, you don't see what they're building and how they're building things up after 4 months. You want that instant gratification, and you think this is some girl off Bumble who's just going to come jerk your wiener off instead of waiting for shit to happen. Okay?
Vern, who's their main guy? Who's AEW's franchise right now? Who's representing them?
Chris Jericho.
Oh, over the hill, Chris Jericho, who's going to go back to WWE soon.
No, he's not. Plus, his name is synonymous in mainstream. So he's getting over, and he's getting AEW over. The Young Bucks.
All he talks about is WWE.
He does not.
On his podcast and everywhere, all he talks about is WWE. He's got one foot in WWE.
He does not. You're out of your mind, man. You're really out of your mind. He came to AEW to build something, and he's building it.
He came to AEW to stroke his ego. He came to AEW to stroke his ego and say,
yo, give me a break.
Come get me. He was not getting enough attention from his boy Vince. He was getting jealous, so you know what he did? He went and slept with someone else to get attention.
Can I tell you something? You need to go listen to his podcast because he explained that he told Vince he was leaving and gave Vince the chance, and Vince said, good luck. Go.
That's because he's not worth the money they're paying him. I love Jericho, but he's not worth all the money that AEW is paying him.
But
not at this stage of his career.
Okay, you know what? But yet you're talking about Dustin Rhodes. Dustin Rhodes is older than Jericho.
He's over the hill too. I like what he's doing. He should be a mentor type talent that puts people over, and that's it. I think he's having a nice little revival in his career, a little renaissance. I like what he's doing. But he should not be a long-term thing. He should eventually take over as like a Triple H type role and run their wrestling school.
Wrestling? They're 4 months in. What wrestling school?
Or their training program, wherever the hell they
This is what you guys are not understanding. They are 4 months into existence. They have done more in 4 months and moved things in 4 months more than any other federation in history. And you're not seeing this for some reason.
Okay,
yes,
that's getting a little
Really?
dramatic.
Really? Show me another federation, another wrestling organization that's done more in 4 months than AEW has. In the first 4 months of their existence.
Most new organizations don't have a billionaire backing them up.
Okay, so that's what they have, a billionaire, exactly.
Yeah, so it's easy when you have all the money in the world and no budget. And you can do whatever you want, and you can pitch a network. Look, I think that all the perfect factors for a perfect storm were there for them. People wanted alternative. Television networks are seeing, you know what? We don't really have a whole lot to go on in terms of programming. Let's give another wrestling show a shot. They came in at the perfect time, so I think they got a little bit lucky too.
And when lightning, and you know what? When lightning is in a bottle, it's usually during a perfect storm.
Yes, I agree.
Okay, so they hit at the exact right moment. They did. They did the right thing. They got the right person.
I give Cody all the credit in the world for that. Give him credit where credit's due. I give him credit for that. But don't sit here and say they've done more than any other wrestling organization in the history of wrestling in 4 months. That's absolutely insane.
Avi, in the first 4 months, has anyone been on fire like AEW? In the first 4 months of their existence?
On fire? They don't even get 1 million viewers. How is that fire?
Because Vince freaking counter-programmed. If NXT stayed on the
counter-programmed.
Bullshit. You get 150 million viewers watching wrestling on a Wednesday. Split
150 million? You mean 1.5?
1.5. I'm sorry. Thank you. You get 1.5 million people on a Wednesday watching wrestling, split between 2 shows. So let's say that it's stayed on the network. I guarantee you AEW would still get over 1 million each and every week.
They'd struggle. They might hit 1 million, but they'd struggle to hit 1 million.
I disagree with you. And this week,
when there's no basketball, maybe when there's no basketball and no other sports on, they might have a chance. But other than that, no. I'm not. They haven't impressed me.
I think they would have hit 1 million if it wasn't for the Democratic debates this week, which were on Wednesday. I think that took a lot from both shows, but I think much. Really, Tom, we discussed this. What's NXT's majority of people who watch? 50 and over, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay, so you think 50-year-olds aren't watching a Democratic debate?
Probably not, because it's garbage.
Well, we're not getting into politics here.
What happened if AEW went against Fox? I mean, what do you think happened there? What do you think would their viewership look like if they went to Fridays or Mondays just for a one-off? Would they?
Yeah.
Unless they got heavy promoted, it would get lost on a Friday. Friday's a dead day for TV.
Yeah, Friday's always been a dead day.
That's, so... Bob, back me... I want Avi to have the floor for a second. Avi, yes or true or false? Has any other federation in the first 4 months of their existence done what AEW has done?
No. No company has ever come close to the exposure, marketability, and just overall... results that AEW's gotten, number one. Number two, what Izzy and what Tom are failing to see is that AEW is trying to be different. They're trying to take a dead part of the business, tag team wrestling, and bring it to the forefront of the company. That's what the two of you are missing with this. I have no issues with Kenny Omega being in a tag team and being a tag team champion. It's been done before in the history of wrestling. Hold on. AEW is simply putting their tag team titles in the forefront, and I have no problem with that. It's supposed to be something different. It's not supposed to be WWE. It's supposed to be something different from WWE. Where other federations have messed up is by trying to be WWE 2.0. When WCW had the NWO and was doing their own thing, they were doing fine. When they brought in Vince Russo, what did Vince Russo try to do? He tried to be WWE 2.0 and failed miserably. And that was the beginning of the end for WCW. Impact had one of the best rosters of all time. What did they try to do? Be WWE in a 6-sided ring. Failed miserably. AEW is learning from their mistakes. They're not trying to be WWE. They're trying to be AEW.
You know what? Let's see if Vince Russo goes to AEW. See if he can't make some magic.
Vince Russo ain't going. Would you stop? Give me a break already. Let me tell you something. It's really simple. AEW is wrestling. WWE is sports entertainment. And that's the big difference. And I think that's why you're not getting on board with AEW, because you are the sports entertainment. You're the WWE guy, just like you and Izzy. You guys are more about sports entertainment, not about wrestling. You don't see the forest for the trees, and you don't see what they're trying to build. You want Omega at the top, but Omega at the top right away would not have gotten the results that Jericho being on top did, and would not get them an extension, would not get them the exposure.
Well, let's do this, Brandon. Let's just bring something up. Let's go side by side. Brandon, bring up the results from this past week's NXT and this past week's AEW, and let's go match by match and side by side and compare the two shows. So we'll start AEW. We all know that AEW started out with that Battle Royal, which I thought was an excellent Battle Royal. It showed you how deep their tag division is. It showed you how great some of the lesser tag teams are, like Private Party, who I think have definitely a great future there. It was a great match. What does NXT open up with? You guys remember?
It was I believe it was a promo.
Yeah. So NXT opens up with a promo from the Undisputed Era, who is beyond annoying at this point. And AEW opens up with a Battle Royal. Anybody have an issue with that?
I wasn't a big fan of the whole. Like I said, if it was advertised a 20-man tag team match,
it was never advertised as a 20-man tag team match. It was always, last week it was advertised as a number one contenders tag team battle royal. It was always that. That's one thing AEW does that AEW doesn't do that WWE does. If they advertise something, unless there's an injury or something beyond their control, they deliver it. They don't switch.
I'm not a fan of the Butcher and the Blade either.
But you know what? It's tag teams. You were able to put 10 tag teams in a battle royal. Could Raw put 10 tag teams in a battle royal? Could Raw and SmackDown combined put 10 tag teams in a battle royal?
Easy. I don't think tag team wrestling is as hated on WWE as they give it credit for. I think tag team wrestling gets a lot of good prominent spots.
When? Wait, time out. And I want to bring something back. Is Seth Rollins one of the top guys in WWE right now? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. What title does he currently hold? The Raw tag team titles. Is he main event with Buddy Murphy? Is he main eventing every week on Raw? Yes. So it's okay for Seth Rollins to do it, and he's a top guy. But
I never said that.
But he is a top guy.
No, but I never said that it was okay.
But you have no problem with it because you're saying that Omega's being underutilized being in a tag team, even though he's in main event. He's in a prominent role in a main event role.
Rollins already had numerous title reigns. Kenny Omega has not. How is America going to get
There's only been one world champion in AEW.
Yeah, but how is America going to get to know Omega when he's buried in the tag team scene with...
He's not buried! Tom, he's not buried!
Hangman Page.
He's not buried, Tom. He's in a prominent role. Tag teams matter in AEW. He's not buried. He's on TV every single week.
Tag teams matter in WWE too.
They don't! They haven't for years!
I completely disagree.
The last time tag teams mattered might have been when you had the Hardys, the Dudleys, and Edge and Christian. And the Acolytes and Head Cheese and WrestleMania 2000 time. Because you had every match except for the main event was a tag team. Tag teams do not matter. That's why the Revival is leaving, because tag teams don't matter.
Revival's overrated. They're not even that good.
It's not the point. They're being.
And by the way, if they leave, if they turn down 5 years of $750,000 a piece each, they're fucking stupid because that's ridiculous money for below mid-card talent that they are.
Exactly, but they don't want to be below mid-card talent. They want to go where
that kind of money in 5 years, that term of money.
And what do you think is going to happen when they go to AEW over 5 years? You don't think
they're going to get that much money?
I think in time they will. I think
Who says AEW? Who says that AEW is this magical land that everything is going to be great in AEW? It's like a pot of gold at the end of a rainbow. That's what everyone seems to think AEW is. There's a million tag teams right now. They could easily get lost in the shuffle. See, it's
they've been around for 4 months, and they got re-upped for another 3
but
years.
they got
on
2
TNT.
hours. They got 2 hours once a week. How are they going to get enough attention when they were in a prominent spot on Fox, on national TV weekly? What are they going to get better at AEW? Please tell me.
They're going to be in actual main events. They're going to have their 20-minute matches.
20-minute matches? There's 2 hours. How many 20-minute matches are they going to be able to have on national TV?
Every week.
Every week. So you're trying to tell me now, an hour is about 47 to 45 minutes of programming with factory commercials. So for about the hour and 25-ish minutes that they get, you're trying to tell me that any given week, they're willing to give 20% of the TV time to the Revival to have a 20-minute match? I don't think so.
They give their matches 15 to 20 minutes each. And you got to remember with them that the commercials don't matter now because they have the picture-in-picture. So the matches are still going on. You're not missing anything. It's not back in the day where you would take that.
Are not going to be better off. The tag team scene there's a shitload of tag teams, and they're going to get buried, and they're going to get lost in the shuffle.
Really? Because the Revival's not lost in the shuffle right now?
No, they're not. They're one of the most prominent tag teams on SmackDown.
They're not even on TV every week. They're not in the tag team title picture.
Bullshit. That's because they're pulling this contract bullshit. If they would have re-upped and done what they should have done, they'd be on TV every week.
Bullshit. I'm calling complete bullshit on that. That's your WWE loyalism right there.
No,
not seeing
they're
that.
pulling themselves off TV. They're like, oh, well, maybe one day, tag team wrestling will get its due. Wrestling, it draws money. Well, they want to cry like a bunch of little fucking babies. What do you think?
It's going to draw money. And AEW tag team wrestling is going to draw money. In WWE, tag team wrestling has never drawn money. Avi.
I completely disagree.
I'm listening.
Tag team wrestling in AEW, is it going to draw money? Yes or no?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Is it going to draw money in WWE?
If they do it right, it can, but it's not going to right now.
No. Because Vince has always been about the singles guy. It's always been about the singles.
What do you do with Seth Rollins? Threw him in a tag team. Shows how much Vince thinks of Seth Rollins these days.
Okay? You're completely wrong. You're trying to cut AEW off at the knees because you're the WWE loyalism, and you want to compare AEW to WWE, but AEW is trying not to be WWE. Well, what did you think? Okay, what did you think of the main event of AEW? What did you think of the cage match?
Tom?
Hello?
Sorry, I was reading something. What did I think about what?
The cage match. The Cody cage match with Warlow.
The Cody cage match with who?
Warlow.
I thought it was a good match. I think he's a good wrestler. I just don't think he's all that in a bag of chips like he thinks he is. Like, I don't think that he's like the greatest in the world that he's making himself out to be. But I thought it was a very good match. I like the violence. I like the blood and guts and stuff. I will say this about AEW. I do like how they're bringing that back. I disagree with Vince McMahon on that. I miss the blood and guts.
Brandon, give me the results of NXT real quick, and then we'll go to the results of AEW. So we got the Battle Royal versus an intro, or I'm sorry, a stupid shoot. Go on.
Then what do we do? I got to look it up. I'm sorry. I got a little flustered with Tommy's so off. It's making me insane. Hold on.
Tom, let me ask you a question. What was a better show this week? And be honest, AEW or NXT?
I like the NXT.
Oh, my God. How? What stood out on NXT exactly?
I mean, I'm a fan of the, what's it called? The Brokeo or whatever the hell they call it. I'm a fan of Matt Riddle, and I'm a fan of Pete Dunne. Now, I'm being a little biased because I told you guys. Because Matt Riddle went to my hometown school, East Stroudsburg University. Shout out to East Stroudsburg, PA. I think Matt Riddle has a chance to. What's that?
I said Bushkill.
Bushkill, that's right. I just like it better. I just like the wrestling better. I like the talent better. I'm more confident in Triple H running things than I am Cody and whoever the hell else runs things.
Tony Khan is running it. Tony Khan makes every final decision. He is the Vince McMahon of AEW in the fact that he is the booker. He makes the final decision on everything. Cody, Bucks, Omega, they can suggest things, but it's been documented everywhere that Tony Khan is making the final call. There isn't 5 cooks in the kitchen. There's only one. Izzy, what did you think of the cage match this week?
Oh, yeah, I thought it was great. I enjoyed the moonsault. I thought the blood and guts, like Tom said, is great. It's a great thing to bring back. Oh,
Your sound is terrible. Hold on, your sound is terrible.
Is it terrible? I'm on. Is it better now?
Yeah.
I was going to say, I like the moonsault off the top. I thought that was amazing. It's something you haven't seen in a while, even though people are saying Cody does it all the time. I don't think it was really cool. I like the blood that's coming back. That's great. And about Cody, and I know he's over, but is he going to Jeff Jarrett the place? Now, I know he doesn't. He can't go for the title again. I know what you're going to say. But he's giving himself these 1 minute long, introductions to the ring. Like, I don't know. I mean, I think he's putting too much of the spotlight on him. But he is over. So, all in all, I thought it was a good show, and I liked the cage match, and I like the 30 minutes.
Okay, so Cody, wait, time out.
Hold on. Everybody's intros in wrestling now are 20 minutes long. It's wrestling.
He's long though. He's going like Triple H even longer than that. Come on, right, Tom? I mean, it's going super long, Cody.
I agree.
So, wait, time out. Izzy, so you're telling me that Cody Rhodes is over, so he shouldn't be in a prominent spot, and you're comparing him to Jeff Jarrett when Jarrett put the title on himself because he didn't trust anyone else to be champion in TNA.
That was bad. That was bad when Jarrett did it. I think Cody he did a good job of kind of taking that worry away by taking the title shots away from himself. I think the main event scene there, and maybe Tom, I don't know if you'll agree, Avi, what do you think? I think it should be Cody, Omega. Justin's cool to be in there, sort of like a main event, back, kind of jobber type of thing. Of course, Jericho and, Heyman. I think those are the ones that should be the main eventers there.
They are.
They are the main eventers there. That's what you guys aren't understanding. They are the main eventers. At any given Wednesday, those guys are main eventing the show. They are top guys in AEW. They're the main event.
Brandon, we need results. AEW, go first. AEW results.
I got NXT pulled up, so I'm going to go NXT. Okay, they started off with like we just talked about, the Undisputed Era had a promo in the ring, and it was to push the main event of the show between Velveteen Dream and Roderick Strong. They had an NXT Cruiserweight title match between Jordan Devlin and Leo Rush. Then they had a backstage interview with Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez. Tommaso Ciampa cut a promo. So far we got 3 promos in the first 4 segments.
And a stupid match. And it wasn't even a good match.
Right? And then the Grizzled Young Veterans against Raul Mendoza and Joaquin Wilde. So,
horrible. First of all, one of the guys in that match, wasn't he the DJ from TNA?
Yeah, that's DJ. Joaquin Wilde was DJ Z.
Okay. He was probably better off as DJ Z than he is in that freaking match.
Yep. The Broserweights cut a promo. So now that's 4 promos in the show. And then they had then they did a non-title match against Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch. Why it had to be non-title, I don't understand, but okay. What do you know? Another promo with Roderick Strong. Keith Lee defeated Kona Reeves. And then Dijakovic came out for what, Av? What did he come out for? A promo! Chelsea Green won a match. They advertised Ciampa and Austin Theory for next week, and Finn Balor return. And then Velveteen Dream won the main event against Roderick Strong. So you had 6 matches and 6 promos.
Why are we having a non-title match with the champions going over?
I never understood that. Why not make it seem that they're defending champions and have every match be title match, especially if they're going to win?
All right, so Tom, you were okay with that entire card? Like, that was actually entertaining to you?
Yeah, I liked it. Like I said, I like the card, but here's the thing. I like the direction. I trust the direction. I trust the direction of Triple H and those guys, and I'm yearning for the day that Triple H takes the reins full time in WWE, because I think that's when things will start to turn around, because I think he gets it.
While I agree with you that, yeah, I think things might turn better if Triple H takes over, NXT since the new year has been horrible. They have not been good at all. I have not wanted to watch NXT since the freaking first of the year. They had that tape.
Tom, what did you think of TakeOver?
I watched bits and pieces on YouTube after the fact. I thought it was outstanding.
Of course you do. There was pretty much the main event was great. The rest of it was okay. There was nothing special about it. And I'll be honest, people talk about if they left Full Sail and went on the road, how different the crowd would be. It wasn't a real lively crowd, I got to be honest, like you would think. It had its moments of being alive, but it was a very typical WWE crowd in a lot of ways. Brian, what do you got for AEW results now?
Okay, so as we discussed, the Young Bucks won the tag team battle royal, and again, I think doing a double elimination was different than anything we've seen in years, and that was great. I don't think TNA's ever done a double elimination with tag teams. WWE definitely doesn't. I think doing a double elimination was different and great. Chris Statlander defeated Shanna. Then Nyla Rose came out for a promo, which we talked about. Moxley beat Jeff Cobb. Jeff Cobb's a monster. I didn't like the way that he lost. I think it should have been a screwjob finish on that. I think you mentioned that also, Av.
Yeah, I don't like the way he lost clean like that. But if you think about it, granted, that's the one thing about AEW this week they did right, and that WWE never seems to get right, where you had two monsters making their debut this week. Both of them lost clean, but it didn't diminish them at all. That's something WWE has not figured out how to do, where I hate when guys like Jim Cornette say wins and losses don't matter. Of course they matter. But
I agree. No, I agree with Jim Cornette. This is not real wrestling. This isn't like Greco-Roman wrestling.
It does matter. Okay, so Stone Cold Steve Austin lost every single match to be the biggest star of all time still.
Not every single match, but
thank you.
Wins and losses don't matter as much.
They have not figured out, WWE that is, how to get guys to lose and not hurt them. AEW did that this week, where both guys are monsters. Both guys lost clean, but it didn't diminish them at all.
Jeff Cobb lost with a small package out of nowhere. It wasn't like Moxley hit Dirty Deeds or whatever it's called, Paradigm Shift. And Warlow lost after freaking getting hit with a moonsault off the top of a 26-foot cage. So, you know what?
Both guys lost, but like I said, it didn't diminish them one bit, which was what I thought was great about it.
I mean, and what about the reaction for Darby Allin? If that kid's not going to be a star, if that's not a star in the making, I don't know what is. Not
a big fan. Not a fan of the whole little skateboarding Bart Simpson thing. I think he's got great in-ring work. I'm a big fan of his in-ring skills. I'm not a fan of the straight edge Bart Simpson skateboarder dude face paint thing. Not into it.
He wasn't over?
I'm not saying he's not over. I'm just saying I don't like some of the gay. I like his in-ring skills. I think he's definitely over. I'm not sure if he's the next big star. I think that he's got a chance to be a star. I'm not sure. But I do think he has exceptional in-ring work. That's one thing I will say is he's an outstanding worker, and his in-ring athleticism really stands out to me. I think of all my matches, Izzy, that the show we went to in October, he was the first match. It was a dark match, but he opened the show. I was definitely impressed with his in-ring skills.
Tom, did you watch AEW this week?
Yes.
What did you think of it?
I thought it was all right.
Okay.
All right.
Let me finish the results here. Okay. Then we had the tag team title match with the Lucha Brothers against Kenny Omega and Hangman Page.
Excellent match.
And obviously the champions retained, and they're going into Revolution next Saturday night against the Bucks, which is going to culminate. I mean, yes, we see it coming. We know where it's going, but it's an important part of the storyline, and we're rehashing Hangman Page. You're using Kenny Omega's goodwill to get Page back over after he was dropped down after losing to Jericho.
I'm not a fan of Hangman Page.
It seems like you're not a fan of anything in AEW.
Yeah,
told you.
You just keep saying you're not a fan. And then, of course, like we said, we talked about the steel cage match with Cody defeating Warlow. But, Cody's Jeff Jarrett, right, is he?
He is Jeff Jarrett. That's
Are you
a great
kidding?
example.
How is he anything like Jeff Jarrett?
Okay, let me ask you a question. If his last name's not Rhodes, do you think he ever makes it big time in this business?
Okay, if Charlotte's last name's not Flair, does she make it in this business?
That's a very fair question. I'm not sure.
Okay. First off, let's get something clear. Charlotte was never going to be a wrestler.
Yeah, I know. Reed was going to be a wrestler. It was in honor of her brother, I guess. I watched the documentary actually just the other day.
Okay. You can't diminish someone because they're second generation.
I'm not diminishing the second generation, but
you literally just said if his name wasn't Rhodes, would he freaking not be?
Like he thinks he's the greatest thing since sliced bread.
He thinks that he should. If that's true, he would put the world. If that was true, he put the world title on himself.
Yeah, he's like
intentionally took it out. He intentionally took himself out of the title picture, just because his last name is Rhodes, and everyone's expecting him to be the world champion.
Oh God, let's nominate him for the Nobel Peace Prize. He's so noble.
Oh my God, you are so enshrined. Vince literally has his hand up your ass talking for you right now. Are you kidding me?
What exactly didn't you like about AEW this week? 'Cause I thought it was a great show. I think it was their best show yet.
First and foremost, this Orange Cassidy thing, I'm getting a little tired of it. It's kind of stupid. The Butcher and the Blade, I'm not a fan of them. I'm a big fan of the dude Andy Williams. As a musician, big fan of his band, but as a wrestler, I think the shot to the nuts was weak. It wasn't very believable because she didn't even come close to hitting his nuts. Bad low blow. That's one move I want to come back. I would love the low blow to make a comeback. I'm talking like the behind the back low blows. Remember like the China low blows and stuff like that?
You mean the ones that you could tell were in the inner thigh and nowhere near his balls?
Whatever.
Those? Okay, Tom, let me ask you something. About 10 years ago, there was a big spot on Monday Night Raw. Shawn Michaels hit the super kick on Shelton Benjamin, hands coming off the top rope. This week they did it with one of the Young Bucks and Sammy Guevara. Which one did you like better?
Well, first off, I think their super kick shit is stupid. I think they're ripping off Shawn Michaels. So obviously Shawn Michaels did it better.
Because Shawn Michaels created the super kick, right?
He perfected it.
You're right. Because Chris Adams didn't create the super kick, right? It's all Shawn Michaels.
It does. I'm not a fan of the Young Bucks and their fruity little bell bottom stuff and their matching little outfits and their first off the 3-man suplexes that they do. That's just so stupid. I hate that kind of stuff. There's no way someone the size of Matt or whatever the other Jackson brothers name is going to pick up 3 grown ass men and suplex them like that, or when they do those 5-man suplexes or whatever.
That's a part of multi-man wrestling for years.
I think it's safe we can establish that Tom does not like AEW. Can we agree?
I believe Tom and Izzy are on the WWE side. You and I are on the AEW side right now.
This is like pardon the interruption.
I'm checking my pulse. I'm getting hot today, Av. I'm getting hot.
See it. I can see it. Tom, is there anything about AEW you like?
I like Kenny Omega. I was pissed that he didn't go to WWE. I think in the grand scheme of things, he will waste his career if he doesn't main event at WrestleMania. I think he'll regret it like Sting does. I do like Kenny Omega. I do like Darby Allin's in-ring work. I kind of, even though Dustin's over the hill, I do like his character better. I think this is the best character iteration he's had in a long time. Even though I don't think
he's putting on better matches than he has in WWE in 5 years. Over the hill.
Look, he's not the kind of guy they should be featuring prominently. If they're looking for a long-term thing,
but you want Goldberg to be world champion.
Yes,
you're okay with Goldberg, but Dustin Rhodes is over the hill, but Goldberg isn't.
Mm-hmm.
You don't see how hypocritical you are right now.
Not really, because Goldberg was a draw and Dustin was never a draw.
Are you kidding me? Dustin was more of a. I guarantee you, Dustin Rhodes as Goldust made more money in 20 years than Goldberg did in
Not
freaking
even
5.
close.
Hold on.
Look, go back and look at the ratings, okay?
Was
Go
Goldberg?
back at Monday Night Wars. People would change a channel when Goldberg matches Raw from Raw.
You're basing a guy now off of something he did 20 years ago?
Yeah, but they're not featuring Goldberg's promo. It'll be a couple-month thing, quick hit and run.
It's
Where
12 months
Dusty-
too long.
And you're going to kill Bray Wyatt in the process. So you're telling me putting Goldberg as world champion and killing off one of your hottest characters that you have right now is worth
Do you
it?
believe that's going to happen?
Yeah. No, first off, let's get something clear. I don't think Goldberg's winning the title. They did the spear to show that Goldberg doesn't fear the Fiend, but Bray got right back up. It's the kind of thing when in a tag team match, if a guy pins the guy right before the pay-per-view, you know the other guy's winning. I don't think Goldberg's winning the title. I think you wanting Goldberg to win the title is what we need to talk about. You've been saying it for 2 weeks. Last week and this week, you said Goldberg's winning the title. Go and listen again.
I wasn't saying I want it to happen. I wouldn't have a big issue if it happened, but at the same time, I see what you're saying about killing the Fiend's character.
Hypothetically, Goldberg wins the title on Thursday. Where does the Fiend go from there? Unless he's going to get back to what?
Back to the Wyatt family. Reincarnate the Wyatt family.
God. It's a gimmick that died 3 years ago.
So you're looking to kill the hottest character in WWE right now?
And maybe they could take. I'm not looking to do it, but if it happens, I'm not going to lose sleep over it.
Tom, Tom, I want you to do something for me. I want you to sit in front of a mirror in a swivel chair and tell me you're going to insert a cancer into WWE. You're going to kill what you created. Okay? Because that's basically what you're saying. I'm going to kill with Goldberg. Easy. Because, you've said so fucking much today. Tell me, do you want to see Goldberg? Do you want to see Goldberg be world champion?
First of all, yes, Goldberg. I think Goldberg should get a run at the title.
I'm done. Thank you for joining us this week, guys. WillYouStopPodcast.com. I can't.
Let me get this straight. So Izzy and Tom, you guys actually want to kill the Bray Wyatt character?
Izzy doesn't think Bray Wyatt's over. Izzy in his infinite wisdom, who thinks Cody Rhodes is the new Jeff Jarrett.
He is the new Jeff Jarrett.
He's not! He's nowhere anywhere near him! Are you kidding me? And on top of it, Izzy doesn't think Bray Wyatt is the hottest character in WWE.
Might
He doesn't
bring out
think he's
guitar
over.
next time.
Oh my
Might
God!
bring out guitar next time.
I can't.
No pop. Boozy. You guys are
Izzy, you suck! We can't hear you! You suck! You are not allowed on this podcast anymore! You are indefinitely suspended! We can't hear a word you're saying! You stupid fuck!
Bray Wyatt. Might as well bring out the guitar next match. Jeff Jarrett.
How is Bret Wyatt over? How?
He's the only one who gets a reaction when he comes out!
He gets a reaction, barely.
And he gets dark.
Are you out? You guys are out of your mind. Holy! This is Bizarro Land. I'm in Bizarro Land.
Tom, are you saying that Bray Wyatt is not over?
Oh.
I'm not. He's not crazy over. I don't think it would move the needle much if the Fiend went away tomorrow.
Who's crazy over? Who's crazy over in WWE right now?
The people in NXT. Keith Lee.
We're not talking NXT. In WWE, who's crazy over?
They could have. See, here's what I think needs to happen. I think they need to have a new invasion angle, and I think they need an influx of call-ups from NXT.
I'll ask you again. Right now, today, in WWE proper, Raw and SmackDown. Otis, let's be real. You guys like Otis. I like Otis. He's a comedy character. He's not over. He's not getting the Austin pops. Come on.
Nobody's getting Austin Pop right now.
Okay.
Yeah, who's getting an Austin Pop? Come on.
Hey, that's my point. You're saying
no one's ever going to get those pops again. Those pops are never coming back.
You say he barely gets a reaction, Bray Wyatt. But no one gets big reactions like that anymore in WWE. Otis is not over right now the way a main eventer is over. Could he get over in the future? Yes. Is he on his way? Yes. He is not over currently.
How can the two of you tell us that Bray Wyatt is not over?
How does he get? The classic face heel booze. He's not even a real good tweener. He's not getting the great or W. They're getting pops.
Stop. Your audio. We can't hear a word you're saying.
I mean, honestly, he wouldn't be making a good point even if we heard him. Let's be real. He's not over. Are you kidding me? Every time the freaking Firefly Funhouse video comes on, the place gets alive. Are you kidding me?
AEW people, though, they're not getting the same pops and reaction.
We're not comparing them to AEW. That's your problem. You're trying to compare AEW. I'm talking in WWE. Try to stay on topic here, Izzy. I know it's hard for you, but stay on topic here. In WWE right now, not comparing AEW crowds to WWE crowds, Bray Wyatt in WWE is their most over character. He gets a reaction. The lights go out when the Fiend shows up. The people get on their feet.
Yes, but when the music comes on, when Goldberg comes out, people just get energized too. They remember the good old days, and they get happy.
No, they don't.
Again, it's nostalgia.
Do you not care about my happiness?
It's nostalgia, Pops. If Goldberg was on TV every single week, those would die down so quick. It's a nostalgia thing. Out of sight, out of mind. Goldberg hasn't been around for months. That's why he's getting the big reaction. Same way when Brock Lesnar's music hits. Everyone's on their feet because Brock is never around. You have a guy around every week, and I'm telling you, they're not going to get the reactions. Bray Wyatt gets those reactions every single week.
Not big reactions, though. Just not enough to move the needle. It wouldn't, as Tom says, wouldn't be such a bad thing. If he went away tomorrow, it wouldn't affect things that much.
Yes, it would.
It wouldn't.
He's the biggest star on SmackDown. He's the biggest heel in the company.
Gentlemen, I have to get going. It's been a pleasure.
I got to wrap this up because I think Tom and Izzy are going to make me have a freaking heart attack tonight. Maybe.
Before you go, guys. Before you all go, Tom, non-title matches. Why do you think that WWE should have them? Even though I think they're a waste and they should be gone from wrestling. Why does WWE have, why do you like them?
I don't like them. I think, look, I've been on the record as saying I think the title should change hands more a la the Attitude Era. I'd like to see them change hands more on TV. That way it would give people more to watch for. That way you can actually be like, hey, you know what? Something might actually happen tonight. We might get a new champion tonight. I should tune in.
I think non-title matches in WWE are done for storyline purposes. Okay? I think that's the only reason WWE does them. I think that they do them way too much, especially if you're going to have the champion win. To me, if the champion's going to win a non-title match, then the champion should just be defending the title. It makes the title more prominent.
I'll say this in regards to what Tom is saying about, attitude-style title reigns. I think for your IC, your US, and your tag titles, title changes that are often are good for those belts. I think for the world title, you need long title reigns. I think your world champion is heads and above everybody else to a degree, and there you need a long title reign. I think for the IC, the US, tag titles, flip it back and forth. Who cares?
By the way, Raw, March 7th in D.C. Who's down?
Oh, yeah, I see everyone lining up. Anyway, that's going to wrap us up this week, guys. Tom, thank you. I'm going to send you my doctor's bill for my heart attack I had tonight. Izzy, as usual, you were a waste of space. Avi, it's always been fun. But, this is the Will You Stop podcast. Join us back next week. WillYouStopPodcast.com. Any closing remarks, Av?
No, this week we have a very interesting week of wrestling coming up, as on Thursday, I believe, is what? The Crown Shit?
Yep, the Crown Shit is taking place in Saudi Arabia. And
what's on the Crown Shit for that card?
Bray Wyatt against Goldberg. Brock Lesnar Brock Lesnar against Ricochet.
Oh yeah.
Steel cage match with Roman and Corbin.
Oy.
The final match between the two of them. That's a waste. And then Saturday night we have Revolution AEW. We know Tom won't be watching, and obviously the top matches that is Cody and MJF, and also the world title between Jericho and Moxley.
Let me throw this at you. Just the shits and giggles, right? Ricochet beats Lesnar for the belt, and that's your main event of WrestleMania. Ricochet against Drew McIntyre.
You know what? Can I tell you something? Would not shock me. But guys, that's gonna wrap us up this week. We'll be back next week. I think Avi would agree this might have been his favorite podcast with me tonight.
I haven't laughed in a while.
As always, Izzy's been jobbed out by me. But guys, we'll see you next week.
Izzy, any party words for us?